Over the last year, one thing has become pretty clear. Game developers and publishers are hated more than ever by their communities, with one controversy after another. Modern gaming in general can be kinda stinky due to the state games are releasing in, monetization practices, or just straight up baffling decisions that seem to make no sense. But none of that today. With so many game franchises and studios being shells of their former selves, today I want to talk about the studios that are killing it and that produce products that are, in my opinion, still great. Those products that, as a game developer, would make you feel envious because they set the bar pretty high. To set some ground rules, I will only be talking about developers and games that I am personally familiar with, and I want you to go down into the comments and tell me who you think is making the best games right now and why. Because maybe you can get me or somebody else into a great game that you enjoy but we have never considered or even heard of. Also, I am going to be using the classic tier format, an S tier developer being what I would consider close to perfect, with the lower tiers being given to developers who still make good games and finished games, but have some questionable practices within said games. So, let's get started. You know them, I know them. Rockstar Games has been around longer than most of the Fortnite fanbase, and they have a reputation for always releasing polished and expertly crafted games, whether that be through storytelling or fun immersive open world gameplay. I'm currently in the middle of playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and I imagine once I'm finished with what's been a game that has really blown me away with its beautiful visuals, phenomenal storytelling, and amazing set pieces that really capture the atmosphere of the Wild West, I'll sit back in my chair with a feeling of awe and think to myself, this is what games were meant to be. Rockstar Games is one of the few developers out there that can really immerse you into their games by knowing exactly when and how to let you play and when it's appropriate for them to take the wheel. Gameplay is important, and the gameplay of Rockstar Games is indeed top-notch, but what makes their games so immersive is these moments when you are observing characters and their interactions with each other. The amount of work and detail that goes into these games is ridiculous, whether it be the radio DJs on GTA spouting hilarious nonsense, or a wholesome interaction between Arthur and a member of his gang. But none of this works without top-notch voice acting. This is where Rockstar shines because they seem to be the best in the business at making interactions feel real, by insanely well done dialogue and nearly perfect delivery on it. You can feel each voice actor pouring themselves into their characters, and that is amazing. But while Rockstar has many W's, it also has a few L's. Their game output is very low, and while I get it, it's hard to release games of this quality often, and I will definitely take 2 amazing games a decade over 10 bad ones. But they do not seem particularly motivated to make new games, and this is, in my opinion, due to monetization. GTA 5 has survived 3 whole gaming generations, and while I love the game and the experiences it offers, it's no secret at this point they haven't been very consumer friendly with their updates that heavily promote spending real money to buy in-game items by making them very hard to earn through in-game time. These at times straight up scammy updates have really harmed their reputation, but it's paid off for Rockstar, with GTA 5 now being the most profitable entertainment product of all time. So I imagine that has meant they haven't been in too much of a rush to make a sequel to their money printing machine. While Rockstar is in the business of making amazing, unforgettable experiences that set the bar for the industry, they are also in the business of making money, causing them to sometimes sacrifice their user experience and output of their games, which used to be much higher. Let's hope GTA 6 can live up to maybe impossible expectations, and that they don't get greedy and sacrifice art for profit. Rockstar Games, upper A tier. Nintendo has been maybe more influential on gaming culture than any other company to date. Not only are they in the business of making unforgettable games like the ones that shaped most of our childhoods, but they are also in the console business. In my opinion, the Nintendo Switch is the only must-have console because it's more than just a thing you can play games on. The Nintendo Switch itself is an experience that you can't get from Xbox, PC, or PlayStation. And while those forms of gaming do have their own offerings, nowadays you really can just about get by with the PC and Switch due to the increase of PlayStation and Xbox games being ported to PC. thus removing the incentive to own those consoles. The Switch is its own experience that you can't get anywhere else with its unique design. Much like the Nintendo consoles of the past, it innovates, this time by letting you play anywhere. And the games Nintendo offers will most likely always be exclusive to their consoles, so never on any other platforms, officially anyways. It really is a standout, but consoles on their own are nothing if you have no games to play, and Nintendo has more 10 out of 10s than my one friend has wins in Fall Guys. You know who you are. Here's an epic montage of my favorite Nintendo games I've played over the years, just so we don't spend an hour talking about them. These games were all finished, didn't try to sell me any BS microtransactions, and if they have tried to get me to buy anything, it's always been very fairly priced DLC. Nintendo also gets bonus points because no other game company has produced more iconic music and freaking phenomenal music at that to the games industry. But the music, funny enough, is also the beginning of the problems Nintendo has. These guys really do not want you to listen to their music outside of their games, and if you try to upload any of said music, there's a really good chance they'll have it removed. Nintendo historically has also been bad with really basic features such as online. Every game I've played over the internet always has some type of lag, and it can be really frustrating when you just want to play with the homies. Nintendo also has a history of condemning fans who provide services to play old games online and people who emulate. They have this piracy is bad stance, but are always shutting down their old online stores and trying to get you to buy games you've already purchased over and over without decreasing them in price. Nintendo has always had this really controlling way about them. They've never embraced things that could be huge for them, like esports, and honestly have had a very embarrassing history with content creators who love their games, and overall seem to really not like their communities in general. It's a very conflicting feeling I have towards them, because while they are making some of the, if not the best games to this day that I'm pretty much certain will deliver and be complete products that don't ask more from me than they should, I'm also pretty certain that Nintendo hates their fans, and have handled their communities very poorly. So if I put the good and the bad on a scale, they kind of balance each other out, so here's what we will do. Nintendo gets an S tier for their games and their development philosophy. They are consistent with their products, and there's just no denying it. But the way they treat their fans, handle their online, and try to control every aspect of how they want their games to be played or viewed is D tier, leaving them with an overall ranking here, B tier. Now, I think everyone knows FromSoftware has a reputation for being one of the last AAA game developers that drop a game, have it be fantastic, and not ask for anything from you other than for you to play it. And that is amazing in my book because that doesn't really exist anymore. Back in my day, you paid $60, you got the game, and the game was finished. That's not really the case anymore. And not only are games not finished, but they ask for so much of your time and money. But FromSoft takes you back by not only making finished games, but insanely polished, content-rich ones. Now obviously this is just another chance to say that Elden Ring is a triumph, and yes it is, go play it. But FromSoftware is also in this strange position. While they make complete and finished games, some would argue they are too hard and not worth playing. But I have to say, I think difficulty in video games is getting harder and harder to come by. And while I get their games aren't for everyone, I encourage you to challenge yourself and give them a try. Hopefully they continue to keep this incredible reputation they have amassed and continue to make phenomenal games. FromSoftware, S tier. Now I know you didn't expect me to go from Elden Ring to Fortnite, but here we are. Now, I haven't been a Fortnite player since the game first came out, and I know I'd say I'd only be talking about game developers I myself am really familiar with, but we are gonna make one exception. I think I gotta talk about Epic Games and the achievements they have accomplished because nobody is really doing it like they are. Elephant in the room, yes, I'm not a fan of how battle passes and $20 skins have become the standard in every game that releases. And I feel while sometimes free-to-play has been great, it's also been an excuse to release garbage. These gaming trends were of course popularized by Fortnite, but credit where credit is due. I don't even play Fortnite, and they have impressed me by pushing the limits on what I thought video games could accomplish. It seems like every other week I'm hearing about another huge in-game event or concert that's breaking records, or some skin collaboration with a popular IP. And again, while I don't play it anymore, it's really impressed me with how they've managed to stay not only relevant, but at the top of the food chain for so long. They cater to their audience and give them the game they want, and I think that deserves some recognition and respect. Fortnite and Epic Games have shaped the gaming industry this generation more than any other company, and everywhere you look you see their influence and the gaming trends they started, good and bad. So while they haven't been perfect, they do pretty good. C tier. Now hear me out. Yes, I know putting Bungie on a list of good game developers is quite controversial, but you gotta know who you're talking to here. Bungie is bad in so many areas. However, they are also a super talented studio that at the end of the day delivers on their content. Destiny 2 has come a long way, and while Destiny has been a roller coaster of ups and downs, if there's one thing you cannot deny, is that there's no game like it. I think it's important to make a certain distinction though. Bungie is not the same company they were under Xbox. So we are really talking about two different Bungies. It goes without saying that Halo under Bungie shaped the FPS genre as we know it today to levels we cannot fathom, and has provided hundreds of millions of people with amazing memories and experiences that will never ever be forgotten. Each Halo game under Bungie released finished, offered multiple modes and features, and influenced gaming with its amazing storytelling, visuals, and music that gives Nintendo a run for its money. This was because Halo Bungie, or Old Bungie, cared about their games and got to make the games they wanted without heavy intervention from an outside force like Microsoft. They had complete visions for what they wanted to make, and they completed them. There's not really any debate. Those old Halo games are classics and some of the greatest games ever made. Destiny Bungie, or the Bungie we know today, is good, but in a different way. Destiny, like Halo, offers an experience you cannot get anywhere else, and while again it's been a bumpy road to get to where it is now with countless ups and downs, you cannot deny the highs have been phenomenal. I mean, raiding in Destiny just might be one of the greatest things ever in gaming, and the amount of content to grind for in Destiny over the years between both games is absurd. But with Destiny's amazing gameplay, visuals, and again, music that I say would give Nintendo a run for their money, if there was something else I could play to get a similar experience to Destiny, I would, because they have done some incredibly shady things over the years. Content vaulting, horrendous monetization, a huge lack of respect for player time, drip feed, the list goes on and on. I wouldn't put Bungie on this list at all, but I feel especially lately they have been amazing at delivering finished and good content, specifically with their expansions, that I pretty much know I'll love because it will be finished. And again, there's no shortage of content at all. It's kind of like the Nintendo experience. They have incredibly great things to say about them and very bad things to say about them. They've got a great community in my experience aside from the occasional toxic raider. Great feeling gameplay, superb music, fantastic visuals, and a decent sense of progression. But bad monetization, at times needlessly grindy chores, and scummy practices, leaving me to give Bungie a lower score than they otherwise would get. Overall, upper C tier. Relogic is a small indie developer, and I really have only played their game Terraria. I got into Terraria a little later than most people, but this game to me is like the comfort food of gaming, and it's definitely one of the best amounts of value in a game that I've ever bought. It's a lot like Minecraft in the sense of you really can just play forever and make new worlds over and over again, and the developers don't want anything from you other than for you to experience their game. Much like Elden Ring, no microtransactions, no battle passes. I mean, for crying out loud, the game is like $20. It's the same price of a freaking skin in most games nowadays. And the mileage you get out of this masterpiece is crazy, and they are still updating it for free. It allows you to explore, create, class build, fight, loot, and you can do this over and over again in different worlds. Terraria is an adventure waiting for you to play it, and I need to mention this masterpiece and the developers behind it because there's nothing else like it. I highly encourage you to give it a try, S tier from me. This is the end of the developers I would consider good, at least the ones I'm familiar with, because there's an insane amount of quality devs that I didn't feel I had the knowledge to talk about, so I want you to tell me about who your favorites are. Hopefully I'll be able to get into playing their games and who knows, maybe make a video about them. But for now, that's gonna be it from me. As always, thanks for watching. I've been Multiple Muffins. Peace.